Okay, this is Bill Thomas of mdroofingservices.com, and we're here in Laytonsville, Maryland, where we have just replaced some shingles that had blown off. Right there where you can see that roof jack. And we're going to come up to the top and we're going to do some other service. Now the first thing we notice here is that none of the ridge vents actually have a end plug in them. And what does that mean? That means that's a direct leak to the attic. And since there's OSB board instead of plywood on this house, that can be critical. Also, we're going to seal these nail heads. We're going to use geocell tripolymer sealant. And wherever the vent is coming up, we're going to actually screw it back down. The other things that we're going to do, all these pipe collars are old and cracked. We're going to replace them. 1, 2, 3, and 4 over there. And we're going to do some maintenance on this ridge vent too. Also no end plug. And then we're going to seal the aprons on these flue vents. Okay, so we're going to get to work. Okay, let me show you a problem that is common in our business. You can see these two nail heads here. They appear to be blown through the shingle, and they are. And what happens here is that the applicator with the pneumatic gun is not paying attention to his pressures. And what happens, the nail head is driven through the shingle, probably by too much pressure. Okay, and what happens, when you get wind, it'll blow up and the nail won't hold it, and these shingles will peel right off like that. So you can see that that's a problem. And usually it doesn't become a problem until these glue strips here are worn out a little bit and they lose their effectiveness. You see where half of it's left on the back of this shingle and half of it's down here. Well, they become dried out and they become ineffective after time. So those two things in combination help the shingles to blow off. You can see you just get leverage and it just pulls right off there. Okay, here we are removing an old pipe collar. This is the plastic base type. And the plastic type actually becomes brittle and cracks, and it also warps. But the real problem area is up here where you see this is starting to crack. That's normal. After about 6 or 7 years they crack and they start to leak. So about every 6 years you should have somebody check these and replace them usually. Okay, here we are finishing up the first two pipe collars. And you notice on this one here there's a bead of black sealant. That's geocell tripolymer. And we like to put that there in case you get some wind-driven rain up under the shingle. That just guarantees that you don't have any problems later. Okay, and there we go. The first two pipe collars are done. They're beautiful. They'll last another 7 or 8 years. Okay, this one here is pipe collar number 3, and you can see this one here is a leak. You can see how the plastic I was talking about before, it bows. Plus they didn't do it correctly. They didn't install it right. And water's getting in under there. So it's a good idea that we're replacing this. Okay, let's look at the end of this ridge vent. Now you see there's a wide open space there and there's no plug or anything in it. It's supposed to get a plug. Builders never put them in. In fact, I had a conversation with a builder one time and he said, boy, I didn't know those got end caps. So we see 90% of these without the plugs in the end, and they're just a guaranteed leak. So we'll fix it.